Welcome back to another edition of INT's the podcast. I'm your host, A Train, joined by my good friend and co-host King. What's going on, King?
Hey, we finally got that YouTube channel up.
Oh yeah. Go check that out. Follow the YouTube channel, K1NG King. Thomas from INT. He's got some Heisman talk up there. Definitely follow that.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
But uh, today's format's a little bit different. We're gonna do two shows in one day, but we're gonna start off with the playoff picture. How basically break down, the games for this evening. Sorry, not this evening. This evening as we record, and then also tomorrow. We got some big games coming up. But before we do all that, I just got to say seriously to Auburn.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's really it. Seriously, Auburn, and really it's 2 weeks in a row because they lost to New Mexico State 31-10, and then in epic fashion, as only Auburn can do, give up a fourth and goal from the 30-yard line to Alabama for a game losing touchdown. What's your thoughts on that, man?
Well, I'll put it like this. I was watching the game and I remember telling someone while I was watching, I was like, okay, this game is over. I'm gonna go get started on something else because Bama had fumbled the football. They were in a terrible spot. So I said, hey, no big deal. Then they come back to it. Bama they scored. I was like, stop it. You're trolling me. Like, obviously, there's no way they could have possibly have scored a touchdown. I watched it, I looked at it, and then I was like, well, they scored a touchdown. And then seeing the replay, I just said, I can't believe it. That's all I
Yeah,
could say. I just could not believe it.
yeah. I forgot what I was doing. I know I was not at home. I was watching some of the games that morning, and then like when that game came on, I was out. I think I was like at Sam's Club or something. I don't know. And I just happened to check the score, and I just saw Alabama won. I'm like, okay, Alabama won. It's a
Yeah,
close game.
it made
But I
no
didn't know
sense.
how they won until I saw the highlight later.
It made absolutely no sense.
I mean, the fact that they, had a bad snap and lost all those yards, and just like at that point, it's over.
Yeah,
And yeah,
I
so
just,
yeah.
I, I don't know, Auburn. I don't know where you go from this. Is that the most embarrassing loss of the year?
In the Because of the fashion, yes, because of the fashion in which they lost, I would still say the most embarrassing loss would be probably Colorado to Stanford, even though Colorado was proven to not be that great, just
Oh,
because of again
oh,
how
oh.
they
Let's not
lost.
sugarcoat it. They weren't
Up,
good.
yeah, up by like 29 points, and then
Yeah.
losing to Stanford, who, quite frankly, at that point in time, and probably even still now, is one of the worst 10 to 15 FBS teams in the country, at least in the Power Five.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was a bad loss. But yeah, this stuff was just terrible, just because of the way that it happened. Like, you cannot lose a game that way. I don't know what kind of defense they were playing, but it wasn't working.
Yeah, that team was pretty bad. And I don't know. I don't know what to say for Auburn. I don't know what you say going forward. Do you just burn the tape to never watch again?
Yeah, you definitely brought that tape. Man.
Is this worse than
Um,
Kick Six?
yeah, it's one of those things where it's like you just want to move on from that as soon as possible. Now, I do think Auburn, they finished 6-6, so they going to a bowl game. They still weren't that great this year, but they showed improvement from last year, but it's not that much. I mean, they could have put me out there at quarterback, and I'd have showed improvement last year.
Hey, look, they
They're
fought.
they're
They gave Bam everything they could handle.
Yeah, exactly. Because I remember doing my little bets, and they had Bama 13.5. I was like, oh, that's easy money. So even though I know the history of the Iron Bowl, still it's just I just was like, okay, Bama's gonna kill them. But yeah, great game. But seriously, Auburn, seriously,
Seriously.
yeah. But that sets up this week of game. We got a great slate of football games this week. We got Washington, Oregon, Alabama, Georgia. That's really the two main games. I think SMU and Tulane is gonna be a very entertaining game. I'm actually looking forward to watching that one too.
I think
Um,
that's gonna be a fun game. Is that Friday night?
that is Saturday, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is
Because Friday now I have to double check though. Now I'm like doubting myself. Um, because Saturday though we have New Mexico State and Liberty, and then we got the Washington Oregon Pac-12 game, and then I'm pretty sure SMU. Yeah. So SMU is tomorrow. SMU Tulane tomorrow. So yeah, some good game. Like I said, like two marquee matchups with the Pac-12 and the SEC. Then you got some interesting games with Texas, Oklahoma State, Louisville, and Florida State has some big implications to it as well. And then you got the Michigan Iowa game just to round out the Power Five. Which game are you looking closely at or looking forward to the most?
Well, I can tell you the game I'm looking the least forward to. That's Michigan. The game I'm looking the most forward to right now, I think the most interesting game is going to be Washington, Oregon.
Hmm.
Washington hasn't
This is
looked good, but
yeah,
they've had a very tough road these
yeah,
past couple of weeks.
and this is essentially a semifinals
Yeah,
game. So this
because
is
whoever
whoever wins
loses is
going.
out.
They are going.
Yeah.
And we can't say that about any other game for sure. We can feel that way about the SEC championship game, but there's a lot of chaos that could happen if
Well,
Bama wins.
I
But
will
with
say
this
this:
game, it's for sure semifinals.
if Bama wins, the only way I think the only way I think Bama can really get in, the Texas has to lose.
Yeah, I think that's fair. In my
Yeah.
in my humble opinion, is like I don't envy the commissioner. I mean, sorry, that's commission. The selection committee on this because if Alabama wins and Texas wins, Alabama overall has a better resume than Texas. But that head to head, it creeps back up.
Right.
And Texas actually, it wasn't the case where like Texas, snuck and just pulled away with you know, a nail biter against Bama. I'm not saying that it's a blowout, but they won that game. They were the better team that
Yeah.
day. They
Now
outplayed Alabama on all facets
I
of the
will
game.
say this. Well, they were playing Bama with Bama's help.
Yeah,
Because Bama, I think we both agree Bama did not play a good game of football. It's not
no,
taking away anything from Texas, but Bama did not play a good game of football. But I will say this: that Texas team week 2, Texas hasn't had a very difficult road in the Big 12. I think Bama week 2 is not the same Bama that we see now.
yeah,
But I still stand by. I don't think they can get in if Texas wins. Now I will say this: if Texas loses to Oklahoma State, and there's something we were talking about before the show, Texas has not played Mike Gundy well in recent years.
yeah,
Mike Gundy had. I'm not gonna say he has Texas's number, but he's always played them tough, and he's been winning most of the games he's played against them in recent years.
yeah.
Do you think that can play a factor going to this game Saturday? Because
Uh,
they're the underdog, and Oklahoma State plays well as the underdog.
I think it can, but I don't think it will.
Okay, because that's my only thing. Of all the games that are slated to play this week, if we're gonna have an upset, I think that's the game where it happens.
Yeah.
Because
I can see
Bama
that.
Georgia, I don't call an upset.
Yeah, I honestly don't see Bama Georgia upset. Now I will say Washington Missouri. About Washington Missouri. Sorry, Washington Oregon. Oregon's a 10-point favorite in that game.
That's not shocking.
Yeah. Oh, so you think the line is good?
Yeah, I actually think that's fair. I think that team. I think that team has gone through a lot, and I don't think they can realistically get better. You know, I just, I just don't see how Washington, they got the upset once. I don't think they're getting it twice.
Yeah.
Because I actually think Oregon's the better team.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know, and I just think Washington. Look, you've had emotional games against Oregon State where you had to fight and claw to win that game in horrible weather. Then you had to go play Washington State, where people forget Washington State was playing for their bowl lives. Is their seniors' final Pac-12 game? Is there? I just didn't see how how can you keep getting up as a team to keep playing and you just keep having fight after fight after fight? If Washington wins this game, don't get me wrong, they are very deserving of getting to the playoffs. Absolutely. And if they win, I think that even kind of says, hey, look, there's something about this team.
Yeah, there. I mean, it's giving last year's TCU vibes.
Right. Except there's one major problem. We saw what happened at TCU.
Yeah, we did see that.
Yeah.
I remember looking forward to the championship game, and within like 5 minutes, like, yeah, let me find something else to watch.
Yeah. Where's the reruns? It's it's a tough one.
Okay,
And
so I have a question though. So, there's talk amongst the pundits out there. Kirk Herbstreit, kind of mentioned this as well. Him and Greg McElroy kind of got back and forth about this, basically about the committee and how Herb Street doesn't think resume should be as important as just picking the best teams. I think that's flawed, by the way. I think that's a flawed argument.
okay.
I get what he's saying. You want the four best teams, but I think that's unfair because if you're talking about four best teams, then I think Bama should be in right now. But Bama don't deserve to be in. But I think they're playing like one of the four best teams. So I think it's a flawed argument, and it's really just to kind of serve its purpose. My point about that saying is this, though: one of the arguments that was brought up was Florida State. Jordan Travis injured out for the season.
Well, they
Big
get
part of
Kenyon Martin.
their success. That's the question. They play Louisville. If they beat Louisville and don't look too impressive doing it, there's talk amongst people that maybe they should get jumped by a Ohio State or by Alabama if they were to beat Georgia, or sorry, well, one of those things or whatever. They should get jumped is what people are kind of alluding to, and I don't agree with that. But what is your thought on that?
Okay. First things first. Ohio State's out. They're not getting it. They if Ohio State jumps anyone, that's ridiculous. Florida State, and I do mean this the same way with TCU. I know TCU lost their conference championship, so it's a little bit different. But if Florida State goes 13-0 in the ACC and they beat a ranked Louisville, I don't see how you jump them. Like, don't get me wrong. Do I think this team is as good? And that's why I said the whole will they get Kenyon Martin? Cincinnati was one of the best teams in the country that year, if not the scariest. But then Kenyon Martin got hurt, and they didn't get that
Hmm.
number one seed. Now is that fair? No.
No, it's not. But in this case, though, I'm sorry.
But it made sense.
Yeah,
But in
it
this
makes
case,
sense. This
I
case,
don't
Florida
think it
State
makes
will be
sense.
undefeated
Right? Is it? I don't
in
think
a
it makes.
Power Five conference,
Yeah, I just don't think it makes sense. I think you
and
have to put them in.
yeah, and like the argument that people are making in favor of them getting jumped. And again, I get the arguments, and this is why I say it's a flawed argument. Though, is one of the arguments they're making is that, well, if you look at the average score of these playoff games, they're like 19 points, like margin of victory, because we're not always getting the best 14. We're getting the teams that have the best resume, and I'm like, well, that's how it should be, though. That's in my opinion. It just so happened that they get blown out, they face a better team. It just happens.
You know
But
what? You know this really goes to show, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I think this is a much bigger problem. We're having blowouts with just four teams, correct?
hmm
What's gonna happen when you add 12?
yeah, especially when the games get real. Like I'm sorry, Georgia might play a regular. Well, granted, they blew out Ole Miss, so it's a terrible example. But
Yeah,
Georgia might play at Ole Miss in a regular season and have a close game. But in the playoffs, they're gonna beat them like they beat them a few weeks ago.
yeah.
They're gonna come out motivated.
I think people forget. When the lights come on and the great teams flip that switch, it doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah,
And for Florida State, look, they have earned it so far. I say so far because Louisville is very capable to go out Saturday night and get the win, and then it doesn't matter. I hate to say it to Florida State, but if they lose to Louisville, I don't think it matters. They
you know.
they'll be sitting right next to Ohio State because for anyone who thinks Ohio State has a chance of getting in, they're delusional. Okay,
Yeah,
You know,
Here is part of the comments that Kirk says. If you think Florida State's one of the best teams with Tate, who are making the quarterback, then that's no problem. But I'm just not big on they're undefeated, so we have to put them in. If you think they're one of the best four, then let's put them in, not because they're unbeaten. And again, I get what he's saying. He's not wrong about the best four teams, but I think it's a flawed argument because I really do think that we should not be basing it on who we think are because at that point you get very subjective.
and
And
also the major problem is even if you're saying like, okay, who are the best teams, who are this, who are that, maybe I'm wrong. Aren't we just going into ignore everyone's schedules now?
hmm
In that case, we're rewarding Michigan for playing
and that's the thing that annoys me more than anything. It's just Michigan hasn't played anybody pretty much this year,
in
and it's
years.
like,
Their non-conference
but
schedule has been
because they
pathetic
have,
years.
I mean, I do not. I honestly do think they're one of the top four teams. I really do, but they haven't played anybody to really test that. I mean, they play Ohio State and Penn State, yes, but
I don't think Penn State counts.
but but it counts in his argument in the sense that like that's really the only teams of quality that they've played. At least in the case of like Georgia, they played Ole Miss, they played Mizzou, they played Tennessee. Now, Tennessee's all these teams are on Penn State type level, but they played multiple of those teams. If that makes sense,
Right.
Alabama, Ole Miss, they play LSU, they played Tennessee,
They played Texas.
yeah, Texas, exactly, Texas. So yeah, it's just more competition. Hell, Texas A&M was a better team than most of the teams that Michigan played on their schedule. And
Oh yeah.
you know how INTs feel about Texas A&M.
Hey, the world knows. Sure, we don't think much of them, but at least they cut the check.
Yeah, they cut their check. That's all that matters.
But I don't get it. You know, heck, people forget Bama still went play South Florida, who's gonna make a bowl game this year.
Yeah, I
Like
agree.
that doesn't mean a whole lot, but they still went on the road and went play a bowl eligible team.
hmm
I don't
Yeah,
think they can even went on the road this
they
year
went
now.
on the road and played a team that they have nothing to gain from playing on the road.
Right. I
So
just I think resume has to matter because if it doesn't, then at some point we're just excusing bad scheduling.
yeah,
Because I don't think you have to play world beaters all the time. One, I don't think it's smart to play world beaters every single week. That's just silly. That's how you get your team banged up.
mm,
However, I will say this: the South has won every national title except for one in what, like the last 20 years. Because the SEC had that crazy run.
the Clemson and Florida State.
I only
I
know of
mean, I
Ohio
know
State to
Ohio
win one.
State. Yeah, I think that's it.
And that's 20 years.
Yeah.
But typically, the SEC and ACC play at least one legitimate non-conference opponent. I think having those games, those tune-up games to get your team focused and ready to play, those games, I mean, we see it in high school football all the time. You play at least one tough non-district game to get ready for district.
hmm
And the teams that do it tend to do really well. And the teams who are like, no, no, we just want to pad our wins, even if they get there playoffs 8-2, they typically get bounced out pretty quick
Yeah.
because they don't know how to play tough games. They don't know how to scrap. And I'm looking at Michigan. They're playing Eastern Carolina and UNLV and Bowling Green all at home. Yes, you blew them all out. Great. Then Rutgers and Nebraska. I don't know how many teams they even play that are going to be bowl eligible, but I know it's not many. And then in your conference tag game, you're playing Iowa, who, I mean, they're such an underdog. It's almost like they don't have a reason to show up to play.
Pretty much.
And Yeah, I do mean that. I just I think we have to pay attention to resume because I don't want college football looking like this. Oh well, we all just play UL Monroe. We all should go play
Mm-hmm.
Sam Houston State. I no. It's okay if you have a few money games because you are big dog status if you're Bama, which people are still gonna give you their best shot anyway because you're Bama.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I agree with you. I think if and I'm gonna ask you this, just a quick hypothetical, okay? Georgia loses to Bama. Okay, I'm gonna just say hypothetically, Bama beats Georgia. Okay, and then Oregon beats Washington. So we got two upsets, even though Oregon's a favorite. So we have one upset and then Oregon. Michigan's gonna beat Iowa. I can't even say hypothetically.
Mm-hmm.
All right, who's your number 4 team? And we'll say Louisville beats Florida State. Who's your number four
Okay.
team?
So that's the thing. If Louisville beats Florida State, that makes it a little bit less complicated because the Florida State one, I think Florida State should be in if they're undefeated,
I
but
agree.
that was the whole argument. But so you're saying,
Bama wins.
yeah. So that's the thing though. If Bama wins, they're not guaranteed to be in.
No, as I said, Bama and Oregon win.
So I think again, so as I mentioned earlier, I think the Oregon Washington game is a semifinal game. Whoever wins that is going in. So that's one right there. Michigan wins, that's two. So now at this point, you got to deal with Georgia, Bama, Texas. And I really think that's it, to be honest with you, because in my opinion, Ohio State's eliminated. I'm sorry, like I
Yeah,
think
they're
they
done.
are. So you have to really decide between Georgia, Bama, and Texas, and that's where it gets dicey with. The easy choice would be to go with Bama and Texas. That'll save you the most flack, if I'm being honest with you. But it's hard to leave off Georgia just for having their only loss against Bama. But that's really I think
They
the
only
best way
lost
to go
a
about
long
it.
time.
Yeah. So what?
This is their only loss in a long. It would be their only loss in what 30 games.
Yeah. Yeah.
That,
So in my opinion, that's how it would have to go. Though I think you got to go to SEC champion. So even if Bama, so Bama over Georgia, I think Bama has to go over Georgia. But Texas has that argument over them as well. So if Texas win, they should go, which would knock out Georgia. So that's kind of how I see it. I see if you want two SEC teams, Texas has to lose, and Florida State has to lose also, obviously.
I'm gonna just say this: if Oklahoma State beats Texas, Bama fans send them a Christmas card and a nice gift. You can't just send an empty card.
Okay.
You gotta send something in there because if Texas loses, that's it. As crazy as it may sound, I think this is Texas's best shot to get in the playoffs because I don't think they're gonna have a great welcome into the SEC next year. Maybe I'm wrong, but do you think this team's going 11-1 in the SEC next season?
So what?
I said, do you believe Texas is going 11-1 in conference next year?
Nope, 'cause they got Mississippi State next year on their schedule.
You joke. I'm surprised. Why didn't y'all bring Dan Mullen back?
Um, it just wasn't the right time, I guess. But one, I don't know if he would have came back. But two, um, I like the hire of Jeff Lebby. I really, really do. I love the hire actually. Um,
Fair enough. I don't
but
think
I
it's bad.
mean, yeah, I did kind of get into like a mini argument on YouTube about Mississippi State. That someone said that Mississippi State should be elated to go 7-5. And I'm like, you do realize that, like, and I broke it down that since Dan Mullen joined Mississippi State, and the win total was 5 his first year, then 9, 7. Just top of my head, so I might miss 9, 7, 8, 7, 10, 9, 7,
Yeah,
um, 9 again, 8. You know, you get my point. Like a lot of 8-9 win seasons.
yeah,
You know,
and a lot of Egg Bowl wins.
yeah, a lot of yeah, exactly. And they're like trying to compare Mississippi State to Vandy. Like they should be elated to go to get 7 wins. It's
I don't
like
know why people.
no,
You know,
no, 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 we don't.
I
So
will say this: Speaking of the Egg Bowl, I mean, it was a little came up short, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, man, I don't know if you watched the game. You probably didn't, and I definitely understand if you don't because it was a very
Oh,
unentertaining
yeah, 17 to
football
7.
game. The turning point in that game, Mississippi State took a 7-3 lead. They had all the momentum. This is like in the third, like late in the third quarter, or was it the fourth quarter? I think it was late in the third quarter. They had all the momentum in the game, and they made a big stop on third down, but targeting. Jackson Dart dove head first and was like an inch off the ground. Defender came in head first and helmet to helmet. And Jackson Dart looked like he died on the field, wobbled off the field. Then he came back 2 plays later. So I don't know if he was faking or what, but whatever.
You know, hey, Oscar performance, man.
Yeah.
I sell it. I will say this.
But that play it changed the thing. And that's the thing about the targeting thing. Like I get it. By definition, it's targeting. He led with the helmet, hit with the crown, helmet to helmet, dangerous play. But when the quarterback dives head first and you're coming at an angle, it's it's just
It's
it wasn't like he came head on head to head. It was he came from the side trying to make a play on the ball, and he did. Again, he had his head down. So I get by the rule, but it's like when you're an inch off the ground, it's just hard to
I
not make
remember
that
in
contact.
and this wasn't a playoff game. It was late season. The Browns were trying to make a run with Baker, and he makes it. Not he threw a pass to some unknown receiver that we never heard from again. The kid caught it, was diving headfirst for the pylon, and defender hit him. And people were like, this is targeting. And it's like, well, he starts off high. The kid jumps. I was like, what's the defender supposed to do?
Hmm.
Yeah, at a certain point, when you change level, because the defender was going low for his legs already, and how could he know that he's gonna be lunging forward? He's
Hmm.
already aiming low. He sees you jumping. He's just trying to hit you, knock you out of bounds, which it led to a fumble. And I was like, hey, great play. Like, I know it's unfortunate, but that's football. You have to
Yeah,
give defenders some leeway. I understand we want to protect the players, especially the quarterbacks. But if you want to lose that protection, what can I do for you?
yeah.
You know,
Eh,
I've never liked those calls.
I didn't either. Yeah, and then before we wrap this part episode up, have you been keeping up with the transfer portal?
Apparently, it's going nuts.
Yeah, it is. It's going nuts. Apparently Cam Ward hasn't entered the portal yet, but he's allegedly been offered like six or seven $1 million
Oh,
NIL deals.
that's what I wanted to really ask you about. Okay, so right now, I believe it was Wisconsin's coach said
No,
a kid.
RPO topic.
Oh, okay, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna
Oh,
touch it,
yeah. We
but
got that. Yeah, it's
so we're gonna
definitely
say,
yeah, but it's Nebraska coach. But
oh,
yeah,
Nebraska. All right, I knew it was one of those Big Ten teams that are irrelevant.
yeah, but yeah, but no, it's just crazy though. But yeah, so I don't think he's even entered the portal yet, and so that's just tampering. And then you
Oh,
have,
I don't know how any of this stuff is legal.
so what?
I don't know how any of this stuff is legal, but figuring
Yeah,
out the portal.
yeah, it's like that's a bunch of quarterbacks in the portal right now. So I read this comment from this guy on a message board. He makes a lot of terrible points, but he made a good point that made me think on this one. Um, he basically said that like all these quarterbacks entering the portal, um, he said again his thing was they're not all unhappy. It's just at this point you're incentivized to go into the portal because you can get the best offer or you can get paid basically. Like it's no point in staying at your school when you can go elsewhere and get money, or at least go in the portal and leverage it for money from your current school.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
there's no benefit to stay at this point. Like if you're a quarterback with the way quarterbacks are getting paid and you're half decent, again, they're not all unhappy. It's just it's business.
Yeah, there's just not a lot you can do. I read, I don't know. I don't like it. I
Yeah,
really don't. I think it's I think it's a bad thing going on, and I wish something could be done about it. But at this point, the cat's out the bag. You know, There's nothing you can do to change this now. You
Mm-mm.
know, at this point, you might as well just say, "Hey, look, you got a kid that's playing football at school. Why stay loyal? Doesn't matter. Just
Mm-mm.
leave."
Exactly.
I, I mean, I'm not crazy about it, but like you said, this is the world we live in, and the portal is only gonna get worse. Even though we've already discussed this, teams in many cases you're better off with your homegrown talent. Like maybe if you bring in one or two pieces, I can understand that. But like we use LSU for an example, they retooled their entire secondary,
Secondary.
and how did that work out?
Not well.
That's an understatement. That is that secondary. I will say, I don't think they would have gave up 4th and 31.
But that's one of the things where I don't think Auburn would give up a 4th and 31 9 times out of 10.
It depends. Is it
Well,
against
well,
Bama
let
in
me
the
correct
Iron?
myself. I don't think they'll give up a 4th and 1, 4th and goal, for 31 yards
Yes.
9 times out of 10. That's hard to give up. You got to try to give that up.
You know what? As a guy who has played enough NCAA football, I'm positive that Oregon State team. Oh no, we never got anybody into 4th and 31.
Yeah.
But if we did, it wouldn't have shocked me. I think it's gonna be interesting with the portal. I'm not looking forward to it. Recruiting is changing. You know, I saw that. I believe it's Colorado doesn't have any commit so far, which I don't think it's a big deal. That's the
Yeah.
crazy part. I don't think it's a big deal that they.
Yeah. They lost a lot of commitments.
I think they're gonna lose a few more.
Yeah.
Like of interesting kids, I just think they're in a tough spot because, as crazy as may sound, for the next few years, a lot of kids are being promised a whole lot of stuff.
Yep.
Most of them never gonna see it.
Mm-mm.
You know, as I said, nah. I think close this out. I think it's gonna be interesting. I think it's gonna be interesting. But before we wrap this up, any final points on these
No.
topics before we?
Yeah. No, that's uh, really about, really about it. We got more to discuss when we come back. When we do our RPO, got a few interesting topics there. They're definitely going to lead to some interesting discussions. I'm pretty sure. We already teased one with the Matt Rule comments
Oh yeah.
about transfer portal quarterbacks. Um, yeah, and then we're gonna make our predictions for for championship week. Definitely looking forward to that. This is gonna be an exciting championship week. But yeah, no final thoughts. I mean, a lot of coaching news going out there. We can dive into that probably a little bit more next week. And then we got in season tournament play. Um, Real quick, shout out to Orlando Magic. Didn't make the in season tournament by like 5 points, but third best record in the NBA, second best record in the East. I told everybody, we back. We coming for it.
All jokes aside, like it was something we were speaking on before the podcast. Paolo is shaping up to be a kid. I think he could be one of the new wave, one of the top 5 players in the league type of guys.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's only averaging 19 a game right now,
Yeah, but he's doing a whole lot more.
but he's shooting very efficient. He's just not taking. He's not forcing things right now. His free throw percentage is actually only 65%. That's where he needs to get that up at
Yeah,
the
that adds
um
4 more points.
because he shot like 73 to 74 last year. So I think right now it's all mental. But yeah, I mean he just won Eastern Conference Player of the Week. The
Deserves.
the Magic has won 8 games in a row, including beating the Bucks. They beat the Nuggets and they beat the Celtics by like 17.
Yeah,
Um,
that's it. No, that team is.
and they're doing this without two starters. Markel Fultz is starting point guard and Wendell Carter as center. Yeah, I think it's sustainable. I don't think they're a championship team. I don't think they're like I
No,
don't
they're not ready for that
yeah.
yet.
Yeah. I don't think they're gonna finish top three in the East. I think that's gonna be, Boston, Milwaukee. Philadelphia in some order, but I do think they're going to be within that 4 through 6 range, and and avoid the play in. Um, Defense travels. As long as Jonathan Isaac can continue to stay healthy, he's been playing very well. I think that team will do well. And then also, with the NCAA tournament stuff, I'm really looking forward to that. Real quick before we go, mm, I think I lost it. In-season tournament. Who do you predict's gonna win it?
Well,
Let me,
let's see.
all right. So let me pull up the brackets real quick.
Let's say we're
So
gonna pull up the bracket.
all right.
That's what matters,
I know who's in it, but I'm just trying to like find it so I don't mess up. Okay,
All
here
right.
we go. All right. So we got the Lakers and the Suns in the West, and then we got the Kings and the Pelicans. And then East, you got the Bucks, Knicks, and then Pacers, Celtics.
Okay. I think that I want the Pelicans to beat the Kings because I don't know. I'm not crazy about that Kings team. The Suns, Lakers should be interesting. The old guys are still battling it out. LeBron and KD should be fun. I think KD have so much firepower, but it's LeBron, you know.
Hmm.
And you never know LeBron. He might not even care about this in season tournament. So who knows?
I don't know. Lakers had by far the largest margin of victory.
Right.
Um,
That's it. That's the
they
case.
were balling out. You, one thing about LeBron. LeBron's a billionaire, but LeBron's a cheap billionaire.
Hey, I respect that, man.
Oh, he wanted his money.
He look, LeBron go donate it to one of your broke teammates.
Yeah.
Um, but I want to see like the crazy part is I really would like to see in the finals. I want to see either the Lakers or the Pelicans from the West, and then the East. I want to see the Bucks. I want
Yeah.
to see because I think the Bucks and the Celtics are still the two teams out east.
Yeah.
I think to actually go win a ring because the Bucks trio of Lopez, who's the weakest of the three, but I think Kumbo and Damian Lillard have been playing phenomenal basketball. But you
Yeah.
have to include Lopez in there because he's liable to drop 25, 30 on you.
Yeah. And he's gonna be one of the top defenders in the league also.
Yes, very much so. Big, tough, gritty dude. And people forget, Brook Lopez used to be a 20 in
Oh
8,
yeah,
20 in
no,
10
no.
guy.
Brooke
But
Lopez was always like a legit player.
he was a
Rodman wasn't as good, but Brooke was always really good.
yeah. People
Yeah.
forget Brook was an all-star.
Yeah.
And he's turned himself into a modern day all-star center.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to bet if they ever told him, "Hey, look, we need you. Isaac Kumo is in foul trouble. We need you to work inside." I think he probably could still do it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
You
Yeah,
know,
for me, my prediction, I would like to see the Pacers make a run in
with
it.
Halliburton,
They are an exciting team to watch.
they have
No
not got.
defense whatsoever. But they are the new age Golden State Warriors. When the Warriors pretty much changed the league, the
We
Pacers are doing that.
believe.
The Pacers are doing that again. In a different way offensively. They are very exciting offensively, up and down the court. Tyrese Halliburton will put up 30 and 17 assists in a minute, and it look natural doing it. Halliburton is right now playing at the MVP level. He's not gonna win it, but he's playing at the MVP level right now.
I'm gonna just
So I would like to see them go because I would like to see him get more exposure.
yeah, he
That's
deserves.
and that's the reason I want to see him go. Not necessarily because I think it's best for the NBA. It's just I think it'll be good for Halliburton to get that national TV audience.
Yeah, but
And then
that's
from
good
the
for
from the
him.
yeah. So what's that?
I said I think that's good for the NBA. Is show these dudes that hey, just because you play for Indiana and doesn't mean you can't become a superstar.
Yeah. And then from the West, really, I think all these teams kind of known, but it'll be fun to see the Pelicans. Be fun to see Zion in a big moment.
Oh yeah.
But I want to see but you know, call me boring. I want to see LeBron in there. I want to see LeBron, in that championship game against Halliburton. Old dog versus the new dog.
See, that's why I want Zion. Because in my mind, I'm like, man, I want to see Zion and the Pelicans against the Bucks.
I do want to see the Pelicans versus the Lakers though, but I think the Suns will knock them out
Well,
before
the
they before
Suns
we
have,
get to that.
the Suns. Me and you can go play on the Suns.
Yeah.
They have so much talent, and although I will say this, their bench isn't anything special, and I wonder if that's going to affect them in the second half of the year
It did last year. It did last
because
year.
they don't have any depth,
Yeah.
and it's only gotten worse. And I will also say this: they don't seem to have much in the way of rim protection.
Yeah.
And I know, I take it back. Rim protection is not that important, I think, in the regular season, but I think it matters
No,
in,
yeah. When the game slows,
playoff time.
when the game slows down, it's definitely important. So in the
Right.
playoffs, that's going to um be a big thing. Uh, Nurkic is pretty good, but yeah, he's not that rim protector. They don't really
Yeah.
have one.
Yeah.
So
And
you
they
know,
lost a lot when they got rid of Aiden. And
yeah.
I'm wondering,
Aiden was a weird guy though. Aiden
yes,
was really like not really a great shot blocker, but he was a great defender.
yes,
Um,
it makes no sense.
yeah, yeah, it didn't, it didn't.
Well, take it back. Monte Ellis, one of the best players in NBA history of going get a steal, who really wasn't good on
Oh no, he's
defense.
a terrible defender.
And to quote the great Hubie Brown, he's not good at defense. And I remember his co-host was like, "Well, he's number two in steals." He's like, as Montez got a steal, he's like, he got that steal off of pure athleticism. And let me explain to you why. And Hubie, in Hubie's ways, broke it down of it's only because he's athletic and he's got good timing. But
Yeah,
one on one, he's not a good defender.
yeah. Hubie
He's
Brown, you know, I could do a whole show on the basketball knowledge this man has taught me.
Yeah, you're gonna learn. When Hubie's calling the game, you're gonna learn
I
basketball.
don't care if you've been watching basketball for 35, 40, 50 years. You will learn something new every time you watch a game when he's calling.
Yeah, and like I said, just looking at it, I mean, there's a lot of unique things about this season. You have KD who's averaging 31 points. I don't. I think this, like I said, I think this year's NBA has just been amazing.
Yeah,
So,
I'm looking forward to the post tournament and leading to the All Star break, and and I definitely want to get into some more NBA, especially like as we get close to the playoffs later
all right,
next year.
way too early, and I'm calling it right now. It's way too early. Does Victor have a chance to win Defensive Player of the Year?
No,
Wimby's averaging almost 3 blocks a
I
game.
think he has a chance to. So let me correct that. So he does have a chance. I'm gonna be biased here. Jalen Suggs needs mentions for Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, he's averaging 2 steals. He's
Don't
playing
care about the
great.
steals. Don't even care about the steals.
Yeah, but I
If you
mean, hey,
watch him play, he's a menace on defense,
yes,
and that's one of the reasons I wanted the Magic to make it. Also, was I wanted to a guy like him to get his shine. Because he has been playing amazing
it's
defensively.
hard for guards to
It
win.
really is. Marcus Smart and
It's,
Gary Payton are like the only
yeah,
two guards that I can think of that's won Defensive Player of the Year.
it's
Um,
very hard
it's
for
very
guards.
difficult. LeBron should have won it one year.
LeBron
Um,
said a few seasons he should have won it. He ain't got
yeah,
a chance. I'm sorry, LeBron. You don't play defense.
yeah, not anymore. But that's
No,
time. That's time when
but
he
in
in
Miami,
Miami when he
he
was
could
able
have.
to actually have the burden taken off of him from Wade. Oh, he was a menace defensively. Like
Yeah, that's the thing.
like
I
here's the crazy thing about it. Before we go, I think Jordan and Kobe are better overall defenders than LeBron historically, but LeBron at his peak defensively, he craps on both of them. Defensively, because not only does he have the on ball skills that they both had, he also had that chase down that he still has to this day
yeah,
ability that no one else has.
it's not. Well, hey, one nowadays, no offense to LeBron, but we all get older. The chase down isn't as feared.
Mm-mm.
Like if you're on the break, you're
It
not
used to be
as
like
worried.
you see the brother behind you. You can be at the free throw line. LeBron's at half court. I'd be like,
Well,
"Yep, that's blocked."
I think it was crazy. Who was I watching? I was watching someone's little YouTube clips, and he's like, people don't realize it on the court because LeBron's LeBron. You hear him, and he's like, you'll hear him grunting, and you'll hear his steps, his footsteps coming behind you. So if you don't really have hops, he was like, man, LeBron make you want to pass it. He's like, I don't know where he is, but I know he's close.
Yep.
And it's like y'all treat him like he's the boogeyman, but then you look at some of those chase downs, and I'm like, that makes sense. If you've got this guy stalking your layup, do you really want to put it up and have it get sent screaming off the glass?
Yeah, and that's why to this day, Iguodala, a former dunk champion, should have dunked that ball.
Yeah, he's supposed to dunk that basketball. I don't know what he's thinking. I was just like, if he dunks that, if he just goes up strong to dunk it, LeBron doesn't like to foul. In that case, don't get me wrong, I think he still would try to block it.
Yeah, he would. He just would have been like a second late, probably, or
But that's what I was gonna say. But if you go up strong with two hands, even if LeBron does get the chase down, you have a much better chance of drawing the foul,
hmm
and then you have a great chance of finishing it. You know, especially because LeBron doesn't like to foul. But if he swats at you like he did, you're probably going to shoot free throws. Now he's a terrible free throw shooter, so it wouldn't matter.
yeah,
He probably still would have bricked them both. But I just think that would make a little bit more sense. But looking at it this year, I think it's been a great season in NBA basketball. Like you said, Jalen Suggs has been playing amazing.
yeah. So
Oh,
yeah, so I'm just giving him his props right now because I don't know if he's gonna make all defensive team, but he definitely should, and
he should.
I hope that people catch on because again, it's not really about the steals of him.
Well, the
It's
steals
just his on guard, on ball defense is just been amazing. He did a great job on Jason Tatum, in their game they play. Tatum started to get some buckets late in the game, but yeah,
Mhm.
so I don't
All
know.
right.
Yeah,
Really, really briefly before we close out, gotta ask, what do you think about CM Punk being back?
all right, that about wraps it up for yeah, no, I mean, I think it's good. I mean, it's cool. That's, that's, that's the thing about wrestling, is that like, um, you you could burn as many bridges as you can, but they always come back. Ultimate Warrior came back.
You know what I find funny about that is that was one of the things. Who was this? I think it was Dutch Mantel. He was like, "That's just a WWF thing." He was like, "It doesn't matter who it is. It's like, hey, when you finally go back, he's like, Jim Cornette went back there to talk about the Rock and Roll Express for Hall of Fame. He said, first thing Triple H tells him, hey, welcome back to the family, man. It's good to have you back. He's like,
Mhm.
Jim Cornette's not a WWF guy, but they just think of everyone as
Yeah, if you
this
had a cup of
home.
coffee there,
Yeah, he's like, they just treat like WWE is your home, and you always gonna make your way back home. And
yeah,
I find that kind of funny and hilarious, but I don't know what AEW is doing. I mean, they got Ric Flair giving promos. Can't wait to see Sting versus Ric Flair in the Greensboro Coliseum.
God, I hope not.
Sign off. Oh, I'm just saying, it makes sense during his final match in the place where it started with Ric Flair.
Now, if it's like Ric Flair at the corner or something like that, and he gets involved in some action, I'm cool with that. But no, please no.
You're gonna hear the music. Flair's gonna walk out in his robe. One. Well, he's probably gonna put him in the Scorpion Deathlock. 1, 2. Or tap, tap, tap. I don't know. But I just think, like I said, it's gonna be interesting. And like I said, it was cool seeing Flair back, cool seeing Randy Orton back, and seeing Punk and all them. I think it's gonna be a good. I don't know. This has been just a great sports season. Wrestling's not really a sport. That's a separate thing.
It's still really
But
good.
yeah. Oh yeah. But look, if once again, like we always say all the time, don't take it that seriously.
Yeah, it's not that serious, folks. All right,
Exactly.
but about wraps it up to this edition of IAT the
Part one.
podcast. This is the part one, but we'll be back a little bit later. For my co-host King and I'm A Train, we out of here.
Yeah, have a go.